What if life could flow effortlessly through you? Living by grace is not about striving, achieving, or earning approval. It is about recognizing a greater flow in life that moves effortlessly, beyond the limitations of personal effort or planning. Most people live in a constant state of doing, measuring themselves against outcomes, and believing that life must be managed through effort. Grace, however, operates in a different way. It is ever present, always available, and yet entirely unbound by the attempts of the mind to control or dictate circumstances. To live by grace is to awaken to this natural flow and to participate in life from a place of trust rather than struggle. Grace is not a reward, it is the underlying reality of life itself. It exists whether we notice it or not, whether we feel deserving or not. Trying to earn grace through effort or merit is a misunderstanding of its nature. Grace is received, not achieved. It unfolds when the mind steps aside, when the heart releases fear and doubt, and when attention rests in awareness rather than in insistence. In that resting, one discovers that life is already complete, already sufficient, and already abundant. Living by grace requires surrender, not passivity. Surrender is often misunderstood as weakness or resignation. In truth, surrender is the conscious choice to release the illusion that personal effort alone can control life. It is the willingness to let life express its own intelligence, to trust that the unseen flow of presence is guiding every circumstance perfectly, even when appearances seem chaotic. When this surrender occurs, one experiences a sense of ease and alignment that effort can never produce. Challenges are met with clarity, decisions are guided by insight rather than anxiety, and the burdens of life lighten naturally. When living by grace, every moment becomes an opportunity to recognize the divine presence operating through experience. This recognition does not require words, rituals, or formal practice. It simply requires attention, stillness, and a willingness to see beyond appearances. Life, when viewed through the lens of grace, transforms ordinary events into expressions of intelligence, harmony, and love. Situations that once caused tension or fear are now met with calm understanding, because grace does not struggle against reality, it harmonizes with it. Grace also transforms relationships. When one lives by grace, interactions with others are guided by patience, compassion, and understanding rather than judgment or control. The need to fix or manipulate dissolves, and one sees the inherent value and wholeness in every individual. In this way, grace becomes both a personal experience and a force that radiates outward, influencing the world around us with subtle, yet profound effect. To live by grace is to exist in a state of constant awareness of life's natural intelligence. It is to realize that what is needed is always provided, that guidance is always available, and that restoration and harmony are never absent. It is a way of living that shifts focus from personal striving to conscious participation in the flow of life. Each step, each breath, and each choice becomes an act of alignment rather than effort. Through this alignment, peace, clarity, and fulfillment are not distant goals, they are experienced here and now. Grace teaches us that life's true support comes not from struggle or planning, but from trust, awareness, and surrender. When we live by grace, we find that the universe itself conspires to restore balance, provide insight, and offer opportunities in perfect timing. In that recognition, we understand that the source of all guidance, peace, and restoration is not outside us, it has always been within us, flowing effortlessly, waiting only for our willingness to receive it. Grace is the natural flow of life beyond personal effort, because it exists independently of human striving and cannot be manufactured through will or determination. Most people believe that life progresses according to how much effort they put into it, measuring success, health, and fulfillment by the amount of energy and control they exert. Yet grace operates on an entirely different level, one that is effortless, inherent, and ever-present. It does not require planning, calculation, or striving to be received. The moment one relaxes the constant push of the personal will, grace becomes noticeable, like sunlight breaking through clouds, illuminating what was always there but previously unseen. Human effort is limited because it depends on perception, understanding, and ability, all of which are conditioned and finite. We often attempt to force outcomes, manage circumstances, or control people and events, believing that such action will secure life's blessings. While effort can produce external results, it cannot access the subtle intelligence that underlies existence. Grace, on the other hand, flows naturally when resistance is released. It does not respond to insistence or coercion, it responds to openness and receptivity. This is why moments of grace often appear spontaneously, beyond planning or effort, revealing solutions, guidance, or peace in ways the mind alone could never devise. The natural flow of life through grace is not separate from personal experience, it operates within and through every individual. When attention is fixed on doing, achieving, or controlling, the flow of life is obstructed. The insistence on effort creates tension, fear, and anxiety, all of which block awareness of the ever-present intelligence guiding life. Grace is experienced when the mind steps aside, when the compulsion to manage disappears, and when the individual rests in simple awareness. In this resting, one discovers that life does not require constant effort to function perfectly, and that what is needed is already provided in each moment. Living in alignment with grace does not mean becoming passive or abandoning responsibility. It means participating consciously in life without forcing outcomes or clinging to control. It is an acknowledgement that life's natural intelligence can restore, guide, and sustain far more effectively than personal striving. The flow of grace is effortless, intelligent, and perfect, responding to presence rather than pressure. The more one recognizes and aligns with this flow, the more life unfolds with ease, solutions appear naturally, and challenges transform into opportunities for insight and growth. Grace, therefore, is the recognition that life itself contains an inherent intelligence beyond personal effort. It is the quiet, sustaining force that operates when the mind rests, when resistance ceases, and when one allows life to reveal its perfection. It is not earned or achieved, it is simply acknowledged and received. Grace is received, not earned, and exists in every moment because it is an inherent quality of life rather than a reward for effort or merit. Many people approach life with the belief that blessings, peace, or spiritual growth must be earned through hard work, discipline, or moral achievement. This assumption creates a sense of scarcity, as if life is a system of exchanges where one must give to receive. Grace, however, is not transactional. It is ever present, available in every moment, and independent of human accomplishment. It is a constant flow that is simply recognized when the mind becomes receptive. The human tendency to earn or deserve creates unnecessary struggle. People often measure themselves against standards, expectations, or comparisons, believing that only when they meet these conditions will life respond favorably. This thinking obscures awareness of what is already present. Grace is not a prize for meeting criteria, it is the underlying reality of existence, always accessible, always complete. It does not come from achievement, performance, or moral effort. It is discovered when the mind ceases to insist that life must conform to personal will. Because grace exists in every moment, it can never be lost. It is not dependent on circumstances, social status, or personal success. Even in times of difficulty, when appearances suggest absence, grace remains. What changes is not the presence of grace, but our perception of it. When the mind is burdened by fear, doubt, or striving, it overlooks the subtle flow of support and intelligence that surrounds and sustains life. When attention rests in openness and receptivity, grace is immediately felt as peace, clarity, and effortless guidance. Receiving grace requires a shift in awareness from doing to allowing. Instead of attempting to control life, manipulate outcomes, or prove worthiness, one simply acknowledges the presence that is always available. This acknowledgement is not passive resignation. It is an active recognition of reality beyond the limitations of effort or achievement. In this recognition, life begins to move with ease rather than resistance. Opportunities, solutions, and insights emerge naturally, not because they are earned, but because they were always present, waiting to be noticed. Living with the understanding that grace is received, not earned, transforms perception. It dissolves the illusion of scarcity and replaces it with trust in life's inherent intelligence. Every moment becomes an invitation to align with this ever-present support, to rest in awareness, and to allow life to unfold effortlessly. When the mind stops demanding and the heart opens, grace is recognized as a continuous, unearned, and universally available reality. Surrendering control opens the door to divine guidance because true wisdom and support are accessible only when the mind releases its constant need to manage life. Most people operate under the assumption that control is necessary to ensure safety, success, or well-being. This belief drives a relentless effort to plan, direct, and predict outcomes, often creating tension, fear, and resistance. While effort can produce temporary results, it cannot access the deeper intelligence that guides life with precision and balance. Surrender is not about giving up responsibility, it is about recognizing that there is a greater presence operating through every circumstance and allowing it to lead. When control is released, the mind stops interfering with natural processes. Effort and insistence can block the subtle currents of guidance that flow through life, much like trying to hold a river in one's hands disrupts its natural course. Divine guidance, like a river, moves smoothly and intelligently, responding to conditions in ways the human mind cannot foresee. Surrender allows life to move unimpeded, creating space for insight, clarity, and solutions to appear naturally. It shifts the focus from, "How do I make this happen?" to "How can I be present and aligned with what is already at work?" Surrendering control requires trust. Trust does not mean passive resignation or indifference. It means acknowledging that life has an inherent intelligence that operates more effectively than personal will alone. This trust allows a person to navigate challenges with calm awareness rather than reactive struggle. When control is loosened, fear diminishes, and the mind becomes receptive to guidance that is quiet, subtle and often unexpected. Insights that were previously invisible suddenly become clear, and decisions are informed by awareness rather than anxiety or habitual patterns. Divine guidance also operates beyond time and effort. While the human mind perceives life as a sequence of problems and solutions requiring immediate action, guidance works with the whole picture, aligning circumstances and timing in ways that may not be immediately understood. Surrendering does not mean inactivity. It means acting from a place of clarity and alignment rather than from compulsion or fear. When control is released, actions naturally reflect intelligence, compassion, and effectiveness, often exceeding what could have been planned or forced. Surrender opens the door to a deeper relationship with life itself. It allows a person to experience support, protection, and direction as ever-present realities, rather than as distant or conditional. By letting go of the illusion that personal effort alone can govern outcomes, one steps into a flow where divine guidance becomes tangible, accessible, and reliable. In this flow, life moves with ease, clarity replaces confusion, and what once felt like struggle transforms into harmonious alignment with a higher intelligence. Life unfolds effortlessly when one aligns with grace, because grace is the natural intelligence and flow inherent in every moment, and alignment allows it to operate without obstruction. Most people live in a state of constant striving, trying to force circumstances to match their desires or expectations. This effort creates tension and resistance, which block the effortless movement of life. Alignment with grace is not about achieving or controlling outcomes. It is about attuning to the intelligence that already exists within and around us. When attention is focused on awareness rather than effort, life moves with ease and situations begin to resolve naturally. Effort and struggle are born from the belief that life must be earned, shaped, or managed through personal will. This mindset keeps the mind and body in a state of tension, which interferes with the natural flow of energy and support. Grace, however, does not require effort or force. It is always present, always complete, and always operating, but its operation is obscured when the mind attempts to dominate the process. Alignment occurs when the mind releases its insistence and attention rests in the quiet recognition of life as it is. In that space, grace moves freely, guiding circumstances, offering insight, and harmonizing what seemed chaotic. Aligning with grace also changes perception. When one stops resisting, worrying, or over-managing, challenges are no longer seen as obstacles to be conquered. Instead, they become opportunities for insight and growth. The clarity that emerges from this alignment allows a person to respond rather than react. Decisions arise naturally, without the strain of forced logic or anxiety. Life becomes a series of unfolding experiences rather than a sequence of problems to be solved, and this shift produces a profound sense of ease and peace. The body and mind respond directly to alignment with grace. Tension softens, emotional reactivity diminishes, and clarity replaces confusion. The sense of having to control or push dissipates, leaving room for solutions, inspiration, and creativity to emerge spontaneously. Actions taken in this state are not forced, they flow naturally from awareness, reflecting intelligence that is greater than personal effort. Aligning with grace also transforms relationships and interactions. When one moves from a place of tension and control to one of ease and trust, the energy extended to others becomes harmonious rather than demanding. Communication becomes clear, compassionate, and effective without effort. Through this alignment, life itself becomes the teacher, and each circumstance reveals the subtle guidance and support that were always available. Living in alignment with grace demonstrates that life is inherently intelligent, and when we stop obstructing it with struggle or effort, everything unfolds with remarkable ease, clarity, and harmony. It is not life that must change, it is the perception and resistance that must dissolve for grace to operate fully. Challenges are transformed when met from awareness rather than struggle, because awareness allows life to be seen clearly, without distortion, fear, or resistance. Most people approach difficulties with a mindset of effort, trying to fix, control, or overcome them through personal will. This approach, while well-intentioned, often intensifies tension and keeps attention focused on the problem rather than the solution. When challenges are met from awareness, the mind observes without judgment, recognizing the deeper intelligence and flow within every circumstance. This shift in perspective changes the experience of the challenge entirely. Struggle arises from identification with the situation and the belief that personal effort alone must produce an outcome. It creates stress, frustration, and a sense of separation from life's natural intelligence. Awareness, on the other hand, is a quiet recognition of what is present. It does not resist, argue with, or attempt to control circumstances. Instead, it rests in observation and understanding, allowing solutions and clarity to emerge naturally. By responding from awareness, one aligns with the flow of life, which always contains the intelligence to resolve difficulties harmoniously. When challenges are approached through struggle, energy is expended in tension, worry, and repeated mental effort. This energy often reinforces the very problem one is trying to solve because attention remains fixed on the difficulty rather than the possibilities beyond it. Awareness redirects attention from reaction to perception, allowing the mind to see the situation as it truly is, free from interpretation, fear, or projection. In this state, obstacles appear less threatening, and responses arise naturally, often in ways that the effort-driven mind could not have conceived. Awareness also transforms the emotional experience of challenges. Fear, frustration, resistance are replaced by calm, clarity, and openness. The mind no longer reacts automatically, but instead evaluates and responds with intelligence and composure. Situations that once seemed overwhelming become manageable, and insight arises as a natural consequence of presence. The more attention rests in awareness, the more fluid and effortless the handling of challenges becomes. Furthermore, awareness deepens trust in life's inherent intelligence. When one stops trying to force outcomes, solutions emerge spontaneously, timing aligns naturally, and unexpected support appears. Challenges cease to be threats and instead become opportunities to practice alignment, presence, and surrender. Awareness reveals that every difficulty carries a lesson, a pathway, or a hidden solution that only reveals itself when the mind is no longer locked in struggle. By meeting challenges from awareness rather than struggle, life transforms from a battlefield into a space of clarity and intelligence. Energy is no longer wasted on resistance, and the natural flow of grace and intelligence is allowed to operate. Problems are not forcibly eliminated, they are harmonized with, integrated, and resolved through recognition of the deeper order that underlies every experience. In this way, awareness transforms challenges into openings for growth, insight, and effortless resolution. Living by grace is a state of trust, presence, and recognition because it shifts life from a framework of striving and fear to one of alignment with a deeper intelligence that is always available. Most people experience life as a series of challenges, obligations, and outcomes that must be earned or controlled. This creates tension, worry, and a constant sense of responsibility for directing events. Grace, however, operates beyond these limitations. It is not something to be achieved or forced. It is recognized in every moment when the mind and heart are open and receptive. Living by grace means allowing life to flow through us while maintaining awareness of its natural intelligence. Trust is a central aspect of living by grace. Trust is not passive or naive, it is the conscious understanding that life supports itself and that guidance, insight, and restoration are always available. When trust is present, the need to control outcomes diminishes. One no longer feels compelled to manipulate circumstances or force results. Instead, there is confidence that the natural intelligence of life will provide what is needed in the right moment. This trust allows decisions to be made with clarity, actions to be aligned with insight, and challenges to be met without resistance. Presence is equally important in living by grace. Presence is the conscious attention to the here and now, free from the distractions of past regrets or future anxieties. It is the quiet awareness in which life can be observed and experienced directly. Through presence, one notices the subtle guidance, support, and opportunities that are always present but often overlooked when the mind is consumed with striving or distraction. Presence allows one to respond appropriately to situations rather than react automatically, creating harmony and ease in daily life. Recognition is the third essential element. Recognition is the understanding that life, in its deepest essence, is already whole, intelligent, and sufficient. Living by grace involves acknowledging this truth and allowing it to guide thought, emotion, and action. Recognition does not require proof or evidence, it is a direct experience of the natural order that operates through every moment. When this recognition is internalized, effort and resistance naturally soften, and life moves with fluidity and balance. Living by grace transforms the way one experiences life. Situations that once seemed stressful or overwhelming are now met with calm understanding. Decisions and actions arise effortlessly from a place of insight and alignment. Relationships become more harmonious because interactions are guided by presence and recognition rather than fear or control. Energy that was previously spent on struggle is now available for creativity, clarity, and connection. Ultimately, living by grace is not a technique or a method but a state of being. It is a continuous practice of trust, presence, and recognition that allows life to flow through us with intelligence and harmony. It demonstrates that the support, guidance, and wholeness we seek are not external goals to achieve but realities to recognize, embrace, and live through in every moment. In conclusion, living by grace is a profound way of being that transcends effort, struggle, and the need to control life. It invites trust in the natural intelligence that flows through every moment, presence to fully experience life as it is, and recognition of the wholeness and support that always exist. Grace is not earned, it is received, it is not forced, it is allowed. When we surrender personal striving, release resistance, and open ourselves to life's innate harmony, challenges are met with clarity, decisions flow effortlessly, and peace becomes our natural state. Living by grace is the art of aligning with life itself, discovering that guidance, restoration, and fulfillment are never distant or conditional, but always accessible when we step aside, pay attention, and embrace the flow of the ever-present intelligence that sustains and restores us.